Well, I say, speaking of waking up the woke, someone's going to wake up Sean Fain, the UAW president. He is Mr. Woke, who is just totally in the back pockets of the Biden administration. He is not looking out for you, the UAW worker, whether you're at the Fairfax plant or the Clay Como plant. This guy is not looking out for. Let me say that one more time slow. Sean Fain, the UAW president, is not looking out for you. The UAW worker at the GM Fairfax plant or the Ford Clay Como plant. He's not. Yesterday, he gladly welcomes the President of the United States to join him on the picket lines and be a part of their strike. The same guy who, by the way, is willingly flooding the country with millions of illegal immigrants, a.k.a. cheap labor for corporate America. The guy who has spearheaded 40-year highs on inflation the last 2.5 years, which has resulted in your dollar not going as far, whether you're a UAW member or just a regular person owning a small business, working at a small business. He welcomed that guy out to scream about higher wages. That guy. The guy who's caused a lot of these problems and will continue to cause problems for as long as he's running the damn country. So he's not looking out for you. He's not. And if you think he is, I've got beachfront property in Salina that's got your name on it. And yesterday, Sean Fain welcomes Joe Biden to the picket lines in Michigan. And if you haven't heard what he said, he more or less compared the Detroit Big Three to the Nazis from World War II. Listen closely to UAW President Sean Fain.
You know, this site, Willow Run, it holds a historic place in the history of our union and our country. You know, this was part of the arsenal of democracy during World War II. It's where they built the B-24 Liberator bomber. You know, that bomber, they built one of those per hour when they were at their peak. It's what helped us win the war. So today, 80 years later, we find ourselves here again with the arsenal of democracy. It's a different kind of arsenal of democracy, and it's a different kind of war we're fighting. Today, the enemy isn't some foreign country miles away. It's right here in our own area. It's corporate greed. And the weapon we produce to fight that enemy, it's the liberators, the true liberators. It's the working class people, all of you working your butts off on those lines to deliver great product for our companies.
That's right.
That's how we're going to defeat these people. That's how we're going to defeat corporate greed, is by standing together.
That's UAW President Sean Fain. This guy can go pound sand. What I really want to say I can't, Mark will have to dump me. But that's the nicest, most FCC-compliant thing I can say about this guy.
Boy, that great product they're churning out for Americans. I mean, when you buy a new car, what is it, a week before you have to take it back for something? A month?
You know the Ford acronym, right?
Fix or repair daily.
Bingo. UAW President Sean Fain suggesting automaker executives at Ford, GM, and Stellantis are akin to the Axis powers in World War II. Nazi Germany, Italy, and Japan. Are you really? Wait, let me get this straight. So the people who are offering you a 20% raise, who are willing to, make a median salary for UAW workers of $82,000 a year, which, by the way, they operate in zip codes where the median income is $51,000 a year. They want to pay their employees 60% more money on average than the average person makes in the zip codes that they operate in. And this guy's basically calling them Nazis. And he's got Joe Biden standing there side by side, the guy who has caused your dollar to not go as far over the last 2.5 years. He's standing there in solidarity with him. I mean, what you got to wake up. I know I've taken a stance on this that many of you disagree with. We have a lot of people that, work at these plants, that are in unions that I am sympathetic to and for anybody, because we're all feeling the pinch over the last couple of years. But this is so much more than simply, what's right for the worker. It's so much deeper than that. It's a conversation on how we got here, how we get out of it, the politics of who leadership is standing with and why they're standing with leadership, who are pursuing and pushing policies that are hurting their members every single day. Right? This is not your father's union, and this is not your father's Democratic Party. Those days are over. And some of you are stuck living in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even the 90s. We have seen a radical change the last 10 years as they pursue cheap labor at the expense of American workers, as they push policies that destroy the middle class. We need a vibrant middle class in this country desperately. But if you think these people, from Joe Biden to Sean Fain, are looking out for you at the Fairfax plant and the Clay Como plant, you're not paying attention. With all due respect, you're not paying attention. Paul is in Kansas City at 7:12 on a Wednesday. What's up, Paul?
Hey, Pete, I guess the president of the UAW failed to read the 400 pages of the Inflation Reduction Act that shows Joe Biden put the death knells into his workers. If you read that act, he's putting them out just like he did the oil fields out North Dakota, the pipeline workers. He's going to sell them down the river just like he did those oil workers. If they don't see that coming, do you think those battery plants are going to be union, the Chinese and the Koreans and Japanese are going to allow union wages at those plants? They're crazy.
Yeah.
So
selling
he's selling a bill of goods.
That's a great point there, Paul. Thank you. On the text line, 913-408-7710. Pete, don't forget, this guy also wants blue-collar men and women to pay for college degrees. It's a great point as well. I got to imagine most of the folks working at the, within the UAW on strike don't have fancy college degrees. Well, don't forget, the president wants to bail out those college degrees with your tax dollars. Once again, deflating or inflating the currency to the point where your dollar's not going as far to help people who are six-figure earners with college degrees. He's trying to play both sides of this thing. And he's using you, the UAW worker at Clay Como and Fairfax, as a pawn in their gain for power. And Sean Fain is complicit in that. 913-408-7710. 913-408-7710. 7:13 on a Wednesday morning. Rich Lowry, the editor of the National Review, is going to be here on KCMO Talk Radio. Coming up, we had such a great conversation yesterday with Carl Oakman, the Kansas City, Kansas police chief, who has gotten homicides down dramatically since he took over that job back in 2021. And the most important thing that he said, that if media in this town actually wanted to cover the news that we produce on this show, this would have been their lead story last night.